Hello, hello. It's time for another Tea with Druid. Episode or number, it's not really an episode, is it? Number 68. Lovely to see you here. And do type in where you're from. It'd be great to see where you're from. And I can also tell in that way that you can hear that the sound, all the settings are correct on the mic and so on. Daniel from Germany, hello. Sally and Kathleen from California. That's wonderful. Ian from I always get confused by that. I am Nellie Kelly from Skegness. Lawrence, coming in loud and clear. Fantastic. You know, one of the lovely things about this, just this moment now, if you can see it, is we're all coming together. Like that. And for some reason, things coming together, people coming together, ideas coming together make us happy. They certainly make me happy. I think they make all of us happy. When elements come together, we get joy, and that's how life is built. Life is built, I guess, from elements coming together and then forming new constellations, new clusterings and groups and molecules and all the rest of it. I'm sure one could get a lot of material out of that, this idea of coming together. And then, of course, exploding and scattering and all the rest of it, coming back together. So these first few minutes of these tea sessions are lovely because there's this sense of coming together from Nova Scotia and Skegness and Somerset and Staffordshire and Australia and Kent and Vancouver and Oregon and Saskatchewan and Athens and New Forest and Germany, North Germany and Halifax and Belgium, Amesbury, Massachusetts, Cork in Ireland, Spalding in Lincolnshire, North Wales, Gloucestershire. It's fantastic coming together. So lovely to see you here on this spring evening. And I want to share with you some thoughts I've had today. I've had a lovely day today. It's the time of pilgrimage, I think. I was invited to speak to some pilgrims who arrived at the mound or the tump in Lewis this afternoon, and they're doing a walk up the meridian, and the meridian goes through our town of Lewis. There's a brass plaque on the pavement and you can cross over it, and so they're on a journey all the way to Greenwich, some of them, and met in the lovely sunshine, about 30 people, part of the Extinction Rebellion kind of crowd, and they were coming, and it was great to see them, kids, dogs. And we held hands on the mound and chanted the Arwen and had a good time together. And then tomorrow I'm being interviewed by Emma Watkinson, who's off on another pilgrimage. She's done a fabulous picture to depict it, which I'll put up on Instagram, of this pilgrimage to commemorate or to celebrate Ken Campbell's theatrical production of Robert Anton Wilson's Illuminatus trilogy play. And they're starting off with a ceremony at the Cerne Abbas Giant on the 1st of May. And then they're making a pilgrimage in a bus to Cerne in Switzerland with an online radio station broadcasting called Pilgrim Radio. So it's all happening at the moment in this wonderful sort of spring-like energy. So tonight, what I wanted to share with you is some thoughts about this, which is two of my loves coming together with a third. Trees. I love trees, as I'm sure you do too, and of course all Druids do, and many, many people, any sensible person on the planet absolutely loves trees. And in addition to this love and reverence for trees, there's the love of tiny houses. I'm crazy about tiny houses. I don't know if you are, but having a look, there's a website that I've put on my blog post that goes with this. And I see there's a Kiwi guy, young Kiwi guy, who does programs going around filming people's tiny houses, and he has over almost 2 million subscribers. So I think a lot of people love tiny houses. In fact, our daughter asked for her Christmas present. She asked for a copy of 1 year of cabin porn, and we thought, what is this? Shocked and horrified. But we discovered that it's a book and a website of people who love looking at pictures of tiny houses. So this is a secret tantric practice called lustful gazing. And it's permitted when it comes to tiny houses or nature. Lustful gazing is okay if it's at tiny houses or beautiful trees. So do have a look at that. I've got a link in the blog post as well to the book and to the website. And over the years, tiny houses have played a very important role for me. I've written books in tiny houses in New Zealand, in England, and so on. And but there's something else that I love as well, which is I love meditating. Ever since I first read about the Buddha all those years ago and discovered meditation, I've absolutely loved it as an activity and have been exploring it in all its forms, or in many of its forms, I should say, for the last 50 years. And I've just been delighted over the last few days to be exploring some of the earliest texts about meditation. And in the Anapanasati Sutra, in the Pali text attributed to the Buddha, so it's coming over 2,000 years ago, there's this wonderful sentence in it, which I'd come across before, but it suddenly struck me, you know, the way these things do. It suddenly struck me. He says, the Buddha gives his instructions for meditation, saying, the bhikkhu, the monk, you go into a forest and seat yourself under a tree or in an empty hut, and then focus on the breath. Put your attention on the breathing. And of course you read that and you think, oh, it's great like that. And I suddenly realized, yes, there's the tree, the tiny house, and meditation together. And of course, they're wonderful places to meditate. When you meditate in a tiny house, in a little shed, in a hut, there's a sort of simplicity. It's as if you tune in to the simplicity of the little building you're in. It's almost always made of wood. So it's made of tree. And the fact that it's small and simple and that you're living lightly on the earth, that the energy of the earth is rising up, there aren't great thick foundations underneath it, means that it has this wonderful atmosphere. And of course, that's even more intense if you happen to be sitting under a tree as well. And so I wanted to kind of talk about that, really. And I want to hear from you whether you feel the same way, whether little houses are important to you. I think a community, if I could wave a magic wand and create absolutely anything in this world, it would be a community of little houses in some wonderful landscape where everybody had their own private little piece of land, so there was privacy, but there was this incredible living lightly on the land in little tiny houses that are off the grid. And I've made a link to one tiny house that's off the grid in Australia for you to look at as well in the blog post. I think that would be absolutely ideal. And then plenty of trees, plenty of places to meditate in solitary ways under trees and in little houses and huts, but also places to meditate together, because when you meditate together, it's different too, and it's beautiful. That's why I keep doing these meetings, because from the first time I did this over a year ago, the experience of meditating with everybody around the world was just lovely. The fact there are people in California and Iceland and New Zealand and St. Lucia, somebody from St. Lucia here, Ben, hi, all meditating together. There's a magic in that. There's a beauty in that, extraordinary and lovely. So this community would have a big meditation room as well, where we could all come together. But then what else does the Buddha say? Well, he says, focus on your breath. Well, how beautiful that we choose. And of course, the fact that it's the Buddha, and we know that the Buddha gained enlightenment under the tree. Jain Tirthankara Mahavira gained enlightenment under a tree too. And of course, Druids are tree huggers, both at different ends of the Indo-European arc. which is, there's a whole theory, which we haven't got time to go into now, about the Indo-European origins of Druidry. But if you have a look at, if you don't know about it, have a look at the One Tree project on the druidry.org website. Come along to our One Tree gathering in August in Leicestershire, where we celebrate the connections between the Dharmic traditions and the Druid tradition. But as whether we're Druids or yogis or Buddhists, we're all drawn to sitting by trees because we're getting close to the source of life in terms of oxygen. The trees are actually giving us oxygen, and they're kindly absorbing the carbon dioxide that we exude as well. So there's this wonderful symbiosis that is occurring. And so this fundamental practice of Anapana, which is is so popular now in mindfulness and so on, where you just focus on the breath, is getting to the heart of the matter. Let's get to the root of the matter. Sit next to your brother or sister, the tree, and tune in to the air that this tree is creating, and just breathe in and breathe out, and just keep bringing your mind back to the breath as it goes in and the breath as it goes out. So let's do that together in the sacred grove. And let's just add a little detail because it's going to be a short meditation. And the thing with breath meditations is it does require perseverance. You start doing it and you discover to your horror that your mind is wandering all over the place, and you keep bringing it back, and it keeps going away, and you keep bringing it back. If you persevere with it, you can go very, very deep with it, and it's deeply calming and deeply refreshing and deeply inspirational. But it does take a lot of discipline, a lot of time, a lot of practice. And many people lead lives that are not conducive to actually getting to that state. So there's a little detail we can add in that perhaps will work, and let's see if it works in this little test that we can do together. So if you're up for it, I'm just looking at the comments here. Yes. Okay. So let's do that now if you're ready for it, which is just to close our eyes. And there's a wonderful way in which we can be fully conscious of our environment, sitting in front of our TV, computer, tablet, whatever it is. And yet at the same time, in closing our eyes, we're able to connect with another level of consciousness, a perhaps deeper one, not distracted so much by outside stimuli, but opening to our inner world, where we can imagine, if we like, being in a sacred grove, following the Buddha's instructions or a Druid's instruction to go into the forest to meditate. And so we're in the forest, and here we are. There's this beautiful clearing in the forest. Our brothers and sisters, the trees around us, the earth beneath us, and the sky above us. And you take a moment just to tune into the earth, just to have a feeling of all your troubles and tensions of the day just falling down into the earth, and feeling the strength and stability of the earth, all the life in the earth, the minerals, all the little creatures, all that energy, the soil, the rocks, the water. And you feel how that energy stabilizes you as you sit in the sacred grove. And you sense how you're seated beneath a tree, in front of a tree, and you can sense its roots beneath you. You're sitting in a really comfortable spot, perhaps feeling the tree against your back, perhaps just a little bit in front of it so you don't feel the tree trunk. But you can sense the roots beneath you and how they go deep into the soil. And you can sense the trunk traveling up. And then it's the branches of the tree stretching out above you. And you sense how this tree is part of a community of trees. And you sense their peace and their power, their protection and their strength. And you become aware of the sky above you. And you breathe in the energy and vitality of the sky. And that energy and vitality flows into you. The energy of the sky meeting the energy of the earth within the center of your being. And you close your inner eyes and begin to focus on your breathing. And you focus on your nostrils or the root of your nose. And you just breathe in, and you notice that you're breathing in the perfume of a honeysuckle. And you remember now how a honeysuckle was curled around the branches of the tree that you're sitting under. And just focus on your breath as you breathe in the perfume of the honeysuckle. And breathe out. Not trying to change your breath at all. Just focusing on it. And if you can't smell the honeysuckle, just pretend that you can. Just imagine that you can. And as you breathe in that honey perfume, it's as if all the qualities of honey, of its sweetness, of the sunshine, of warmth, the subtle hints of many different flowers, are filling your energy field, bringing you healing and vitality. And whenever your mind wanders, you just bring your attention back to the smell of the honeysuckle as you breathe in, and being aware of breathing out. And now you gently open your inner psychic eyes in the grove, and you look up at the honeysuckle that's hanging from the branches of the tree. And you give thanks to the honeysuckle. Thanks to the branches of the tree that holds it. Thanks for the air that you breathe. Thanks for the oxygen that the trees provide. And in token of that thanks, you lean forward and touch the ground with the palms of your hands in the sacred grove, asking for a blessing on the land and a blessing on our lives and all lives. May the world be filled with peace, with harmony, with understanding. May each of us be a channel and a force for good in the world, for bringing joy and happiness to all whom we come into contact with. And then, having sent out that wish, you can, if you like, bring your hands up to your heart. And then slowly allow the awareness of the sacred grove to fade as you become aware of being seated in front of your computer or your tablet or your phone, fully present here and now. And whenever I say your computer, your tablet, or your phone, I always think of somebody who said in the comments once that she was watching the Tea with the Druid while she was on a bus traveling along. So I'm not sure it's a good idea to meditate while you're on a bus in this way, but who knows. So lovely to see all the little bubbles floating up. And I find adding in the idea of perfume helps me. It helps me because it connects me with the natural world. And it just gives a little bit of extra focus for my meditation on the breath. And then quite soon I let go of it. I find it's not necessary to hold on to that scent of honeysuckle or hyacinth. I love the smell of hyacinths as well, for instance. And of course, you can actually bring a hyacinth into your room and put it by where you're meditating. And it's a lovely way to start a breathing meditation. But I just find it so lovely that we can bring together some of our favorite things, the tree and the tiny little house, and find the Buddha talking about this 2,000 years ago, and find ourselves today inspired by this, so that millions of us watch pictures of tiny houses on YouTube and aspire perhaps to having a tiny little house, and certainly to sitting under trees to meditate. So lovely to be with you. And I never want to leave these broadcasts. I want to stay hanging out with you and having a good time with you. But I've always promised to keep these short and sweet, 20 minutes or so. So have a lovely week. And Emma, I can see you're there, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow about the crazy pilgrimage that you're going to do. And lots of love to everybody. Have a wonderful week. And I will see you next Monday. Goodbye.